I had a question on that one. So we're gonna have a little conversation of whether to use ice versus heat on your stuff, injuries and aches and pains, and then also shoulder example. And I had someone who was commenting on the fact that their calves always hurt. So here's the big question of the moment, right? With everybody is whether or not you're going to use heat versus ice when you have some aches and pains. It's a little bit controversial, so everybody gets to do their own research and do their own stuff. But I usually go for heat. Unless it's something that it's so painful that you want to numb it, then ice is helpful for numbing. It's an analgesic, it takes away pain, great. But however, for long-term healing, heat is really a good option, or at least circulation. So however you're gonna get your circulation, that's really what's the best option. Okay, so like, I'll use my neighbor as an example. She's had a new baby a couple months ago. Saw her one day and she's like, oh, my back just tweaked. Helped her out with a couple things. Just so you know, the 4-inch floss is awesome for acute back spasms and pains and things like that. The 4-inch floss, which is wider, is super cool. So definitely know that you want one of those. Let me grab my goodies. I forgot to bring them over. Basket stuff, you guys. And of course I don't have my 4-inch floss, but here's the 2-inch. So the 4-inch is just double of that. So width, tall wise. Okay, it's also kind of double the price, but it's really worth it. And we did a wrap around the hips. So the compression around the pelvis immediately gives pain relief. So for anyone who has back stuff themselves or knows somebody who is currently having that, then I highly, highly recommend that you go and get one of the 4-inch muscle flosses. But it's up to you on where you get it. I don't know if the other brands other than Rock Floss have it. Okay, but search Amazon for 4-inch Rock Floss and you're going to be good to go. So for sure I wanted to do that tip on low back and heat. To finish up with my neighbor, it was one of those things she asked as well, that she's been trying ice and it hasn't been really helpful. So I told her to try heat, and she was definitely more relief with that because it increases your circulation, and especially in the low back when it's full of fascia and a lot of tissues that kind of glue together, heat's a really awesome option for you. Okay, and I think it was Wayne that was last week asking about this, heat or ice, and he was a low back, so that was something to where I wanted to make sure that we get it out there. I just do a heating pad. I don't have anything microwavable at this point. When I did a lot of massage, I had something that went over the shoulders. It was full of barley or something, or so that's just something on heat, is that it's going to help your natural anti-inflammatory process go. If you don't even want to do heat, then definitely use some sort of compression or elevation. Okay, so one of the things that I want to address, because I don't know where my chat went. Did you guys type anything in on aches and pains? I don't see anything on the chat, but people sent me up ahead is calves. Someone who's always tight in their calves. All right, sorry you guys, I'm trying to do 2 cameras at once. Someone who's always tight in their calves. The thing is that it depends on your how you stand. All right, and since I'm set up to be kneeling, I'm going to show you some knee things down here as far as tape. But if you've got a posture that's head forward and neck forward and pushing you forward, then it's something to where you want to know that your weight is going to be pushing you all forward. And try to get my family note in there. So here you are forward, and if you're standing on your feet, what's going to happen is your toes are going to take a majority of that weight. So your calves are going to be on all the time because your calves are essentially what push you back upright. Okay, but if your weight's a little bit forward, and things aren't working right, then what I really want you to check is hip strength, all right? So when the hips aren't working really well, then a lot of times the calves and the feet will overwork. Does that make sense? So for my question on calves always being tight, I want you to have a video or something that looks at you, or have someone take a picture of you sideways and check your posture when you're not thinking about it, right? If you have somebody that takes a picture of you, then you're gonna pose nicely and not have that happen, okay? So yes, stretching your calves and everything will be helpful, but temporarily. Hi, I love you. Got dogs. So only temporarily. You can all say hi. That was Augusta, all right? One of our 3 dogs that'll probably come through here, so no problem. So yeah, calf stuff. Watch your posture forward, and then I would look at a couple different things. A lot of times it's hip flexor tightness in front of the hips, seated a lot, maybe standing a lot. Double check all of those options to get you not tight in your calves. All right. Shoulders, you know, it was fun. I actually saw my parents on for a moment, and now they're not. So I'm gonna talk about my dad behind his back if he's not there. Or if he's there, I'm gonna talk about him anyway. I can't figure out how to get my, did I hear you? Are you still there? Okay, well then, sweet. I'm gonna use you as an example because we did a virtual thing about how his shoulder was bothering him, and it was his left shoulder, and really painful, kind of right at the top of the deltoid area, almost below the shoulder, all right? So it's something to where, awesome. I'm reading, it's multitasking, you guys. But so his pain was right below the shoulder. And let me grab my tape and I'll show you what we did. Because this is common, and you know what? And this is why I wore a jacket, so I could show you guys some arm. Because the other thing, I've been on my devices way too much. And especially on my right hand, I'm getting some elbow stuff. And that's a really big, common spot. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to elbow tape. And hopefully that'll help you guys. So you can use any sort of brand tape, buy it at Walgreens or CVS. Amazon has Rock Tape for a really decent price. But so I kind of got an idea. I coached my mom through putting this tape on. And I'm not gonna round the edges because I don't need to for demo purposes. But essentially what we did was we want to make any tape. I want you to make an X where it hurts the most, right? That's the easiest part about all of this is you make an X where it hurts the most, and so that where it crossing over is what's going to give you the most pain relief and help with any swelling. Okay, so here's where, and for any of you that are just jumping on and joining on my Zoom, we did figure out that holding your space bar down acts like your microphone. So if you want to stay, you're eating lunch or whatever. I know my background noise is pretty loud because I got family eating lunch, but it's something to where you can always push and hold the space bar to speak to me. Speak up at any time, you guys. This is not formal. All right. Foot surgery, strengthen hips and thighs. Thank you. I'm going to get to that. All right. So shoulder. All right. So what we did was we find an anchor point here in the back. And then what's great is that you really don't want to use much, you don't pull with kinesiology tape. What you do is you stretch the skin. So in order to stretch this skin on the back, I'm going to put my arm around the front, and then I don't have to do anything about the tape as I put it on. And you don't want to add any stretch to the ends of the tape because it'll just end up irritating if you have too much stretch. If it's irritated, you're going to take it off, and it doesn't work when you take it off. All right? My other piece. Okay, so now we're going to go front to back. And kind of eyeball, look at me in the mirror, right? So I'm gonna get my anchor first. Gentlemen, if you have any sort of chest hair, start on where it's not there, and then we'll go around the back, because that's not a comfortable thing to have that there, all right? So from here, now can anyone tell me, if I'm going front to back, how do I stretch the skin? Put my arm backwards. Now, I'm doing this to myself, so pretend it's still back there, all right? But because then I'm gonna bring it around this way. And then I'm gonna not have any stretch on the ends of the tape, and you're gonna pretend I didn't do that, because you wanna end on, skin, okay? Tape on skin sticks better than tape on tape. So again, it's not the end of the world if that happens. It's not the end of the world if you get a little wrinkle like I have. It's just not ending on the skin and not having wrinkles helps it stay on longer, all right? So that's how we tape the shoulder. And immediately you're gonna feel that something's on you. So I get asked all the time, how does kinesiology tape work? Is there anything in it? Is it magical? Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a little bit magical. It works in a sense that it's the touch of the tape that is connecting to the brain. So the tape's talking to your brain through your skin. You know that it's on there, and when you move, you feel it, and so you have all these different things. So with my dad, it was one to where I caught him, and I've seen him, that he reads his book like this, all right? So all the time it's tight. So I knew already that that was tight, but this is something, so it immediately helps the aggravated spot. I like to go then, what is the solution for everything? And the solution is then opening up all the muscles that are shortened for a long time, okay? So if you're driving, if you're on your phone, if you're at your keyboard, any of those things, you want the opposite. I saw a couple of you sit up a lot straighter all of a sudden, right? Oh, I saw you. So fix your head. So all of you who are watching me right now, check your head. Make sure you're not here looking at your phone. Put your head on your shoulder, okay? That is the first thing, because it's this huge, heavy head, and it's gonna wreck your shoulders. Questions? I believe it helped a lot, and Dad, you can chime in if it's still helping or not. Moving on. Midfoot surgery, how can I strengthen my hips, thighs without using my feet? You can strengthen hips and thighs without using your feet. Let's see. By kneeling, like I am right now. I'm actually kneeling. But so let me tilt you, because that's who's asking. So I would do a whole bunch of, classic stuff. Jane Fonda things that we call them, right? So you can do all sorts of these. It's actually going to get the kneeling support glute and hip, and the one that's working. You can put a band on them, even on your knees. I should turn my phone around and see the faces. So you don't have to be standing. You can put this band on your knees. Make sense? Okay. And I'm kneeling. I can go back and forth kneeling, and I'm not having any weight bearing on my feet. I love those. So one of my favorite things to do is figure out exercises when you can't use a certain body part. Okay, it's kind of what helped me get into doing all of this, is that I worked with a lot of people that went through surgeries, or someone who had an Achilles tendon tear, and we still worked out, because the circulation is really what's best for all your healing. Okay, so circulation is what tape is doing. It's lifting the skin a little bit. It helps the inflammation go away. So hopefully that helps. If you need more for strengthening your hips without using your feet, send me a note, comment. I'll make sure that we have connection. And that tape for plantar fasciitis is one I have a video on. I don't know if it's on my YouTube channel or not, but it's something to where, maybe I'll get my husband to make an appearance at some point in time. He's had it, so we've had to tape from the bottom of the foot up the calf. All right. So I'm gonna reuse tape because I'm frugal like that. My parents would be happy to know. So for plantar fasciitis, you want to start, or any foot pain, you want to start at the toes with your anchor, because you don't want to start at the back and then have too much and then be dealing with scissors around your toes. That's not good at all. All right, so you go from toes to heel, and then you can even go up further on this. I'm pretty sure I have this on my YouTube channel. And then the thing about having a second strip, don't do this. Don't reuse your own tape. It's not going to stick at all. The second strip goes where most of your pain is. Okay, so if you have more heel pain, it's going to go right at the heel. Midfoot, around here. So my friend who had the surgery on your midfoot, you can actually use tape around your scar. Don't put it over a new, fresh, open scar. You go around it, all right? So I've actually just helped someone do some taping around knee replacements. Sorry, Facebook, you're crooked. I'm crooked anyway, just works for me. And then I have a question on preventing or alleviating muscle cramps. Muscle cramps happen for two different reasons. It's usually nutrition, hydration, or it's going to be a reaction. So for a lot of times, very common, if you get on your hands and knees and you're going to try to sit down on your feet or something like that, a lot of people have their feet cramp or their shins cramp. It's because if you take a muscle and it extends too far too fast, there's a physiological reaction that contracts it. So if it goes too fast and too far, it's like, oh, I'm out of control, let's lock down. It's really what your low back going out is doing. All right, so prevention of those cramps is going to be making sure that you are mobile and flexible in that area. So if you can chat me back on if it's a location, I can give you more specifics, or email me on more specifics, but most often it's either dehydration, sometimes vitamins and such, but I find that a lot of it is your mobility and control through that whole range of motion. So a lot of people don't point their feet all the way out when you're kneeling. So doing it for a little while, slowly getting into it, is going to really retrain your feet, using this example, from not cramping when you're trying to kneel and sit on your feet. So hopefully that helps. There's an occasion where, those weird neck cramps that you'll get, that do that. It's in a position that it hasn't been in a while, and you went too far too fast into it, so it'll cramp back up. Yeah, fair point that it can be medication stuff as well. So circulation in through all of that. I actually had a client for a long time. She always wore control pantyhose, so she really didn't get great circulation. But she's like, well, I travel so much, I didn't want swelling in my ankles. It's like, okay, but so she would take quinine on a regular basis, which, do you know that quinine is in regular tonic water? So maybe I told you this or not, if you're having a cramp or cramping, gin and tonic. You might want to skip the gin, but it's really good with gin and some lime. Usually a summer drink, right? So it's something to wear. Reading at the same time. Yes, my plantar fasciitis taping is on my YouTube channel. If it's not, I'll totally put it there, because I do have some, because my husband has had it. We have examples of it. Okay, yeah, so cramps in neck and stomach organ, stomach muscles. Neck is certainly one you got to watch posture-wise again. Think of your head like a bowling ball. It's like at least 12 pounds. Average weight of the human head is 12 pounds, right? So every inch forward that it comes off of home base, it gets more torque on the muscles that are holding it up, and then the muscles in the front are going to get really good at being short. So maybe those cramps in the neck and stuff are because there's lack of mobility and range of motion in it. You should be able to turn all the way one way and all the way the other. Flexibility to get there. You can do this laying on on your stomach. Turn your head, lay your ear flat. That's passive stretching, so it's okay. I really like you to also get active stretching involved because you need to know how to work once you have that range of motion. Okay, so everybody's neck, everyone's like, don't look up or too much. Make sure you're in really good posture when you're doing these sorts of things, okay, and get your full range of motion for your neck. Tilt, side. I mean, it's a rotational head, right? So we want all sorts of arrangements. I'm going to go a little longer than my 30 minutes because I had all my technical difficulties going forward. But I know that someone asked about knees as well. And knee pain, let me just give you a little spiel. The knee is a hinge joint. It's like a door. It hinges open and closed. So most often chronic problems with the knee, the source is either at the hip or at the ankle. All right, so those places that you want to look. You want to look at the ankle to make sure that it can go through the gait process and get all that range through your toes. There's all those bones in your feet that need to happen. A lot of times people have a little turned out of their toes, and in their gait walking, that can sometimes be from the feet, but that's also from the hips. If your hips are turning out, the feet are being weird, the knee's going to be weird. And the knee, it's kind of like taking the door hinge and torquing it. It's not going to be happy at the hinge, right? It'll loosen up the screws and things like that. So checking the hip, checking the foot, but of course you can use tape on the knee, and it'll really give an immediate relief of your pain and inflammation on the knee. And like I said, it's really about X marks the spot. Okay, so if your pain is more at your kneecap or tendon below the knee, you're going to bring it around and do this one. I also have these on my YouTube channel as well. If your pain is above the knee, if it's mid-knee, okay, all the different ways that you can relieve that pain. My other favorite tool on knee stuff, because I have my own knee things, is the floss. All right, I have how to floss the calf, the quad, and it's a great way to figure out if where the problem is doing stretching or rolling. If you don't have floss, you can kind of do it rolling. If you do a lot of rolling on your calf and your knee feels better, the problem is probably in your calf and ankle. If you do a lot of foam rolling on your quads and hamstrings or flossing on your thigh, then the problem is maybe more in your hip. Something to think about. Really fun to investigate those things. I really like doing that. So email me and let me know if that's something that I can help with. Again, I just like helping. So hopefully this was helpful, covering all these things. I appreciate you all joining me and learning and hanging in there on my technical difficulties. So my Zoom people had to deal with all my YouTube Live not working. I'm on it. I'm going to figure out why that didn't work. But if you want to see the recording, please go to my Facebook page, which is Balance Biomechanics, all of that. And the recording will be there if you want to send anybody who has any of these ailments that we talked about. Every Friday I'm going to be doing this, so send me your requests if we didn't cover anything that you wanted to. And everyone's going to have awesome posture the rest of the day because we talked about that head, right? Don't let your head be heavy, and stay healthy, happy, and moving. And I'll see you guys next week.